2011 through 2017 Jeep Grand Cherokee with the 3.6 liter engine, alternator replacement. I'm Brian Nessa from How to Automotive, and I'm going to walk you through the steps of replacing the alternator. We're going to be using a factory 160 amp alternator on this particular vehicle. I'll leave a link for this in the description of the video. That way if you need to pick it up, you can find it there. To get started, we need to disconnect the negative battery cable. And to do that, we need to move the front passenger seat all the way forward. And then we're going to pop this little panel up, and then underneath this panel will be the battery and the battery cable. So you'll remove the 10mm nut and disconnect the cable. Now we're going to remove the belt by taking a 3/8 drive ratchet, putting it into the belt tensioner here just below the alternator, torquing it over to the left counterclockwise, and then removing the belt. So next we're going to remove the power feed from the back of the alternator, which is right back here. So we're going to pop this little plastic cover off, and then right behind the cover will be a 13mm nut. And we'll remove that. I'm going to use a wrench. So from underneath the alternator, I reached around back, put my wrench on the 13mm nut, and then I cracked it free, and then I reached around back like this and just spun the nut off. After you get the nut removed, there's going to be another wire attached to it, but I'm going to leave it on for now and unbolt the alternator and pull the alternator down. It's easier to disconnect with it unbolted. So now here on the bottom, there's going to be a 13mm nut that's holding a ground cable on, so we're going to take that off. So once you get the 13mm nut off, the ground cable will come off, and behind it will be the bolt with the stud on it. You'll remove that bolt. It's a 13mm also, so you remove that. That's the bottom bolt of the alternator. And then once you get that unbolted, then you can unbolt the top two bolts. Now the alternator is free, we need to get this electrical connector off. This red portion of it, you need to slide it upwards, and it's easiest to do it with a flat blade screwdriver. So you'll pry it until it pops up a little bit, and then you can squeeze the little tab and then pull the electrical connector off. Now you can grab the alternator and work it out of the car. So it's pretty easy to get out. You'll just lift it straight out like this. We're ready to go back in, so I'm going to take the bottom bolt and put it through the bottom port. And the reason why is it's easier to see the little port where the bolt bolts up to, and that's the easiest one to start. So we'll start that one, and then we'll swing the top of the alternator back into place and start the two top bolts. So when going back in, it was kind of easiest to hold it by the pulley like this, and then start the bolt with your left hand, and then rotate it up into position, and then start the top two bolts. Once you get all three bolts started, then you can go ahead and tighten down all three of the bolts. And then after you get those started, you can take the little electrical connector and plug it in. And then you're going to make sure you push the red locking tab in until it's re-secured. You'll hear a little click, and give it a little pull, make sure it doesn't come back off. Then you can reach around back and put the main power feed on, and bolt that up with the 13mm nut. Once you have that all reconnected, you can take the ground strap here and put it onto the bottom stud of the alternator bolt, and put the 13mm nut back on there and tighten that up. You also want to make sure that you put the little plastic cover back over the main power battery feed here. We're going to reinstall the belt. I printed out a diagram just in case it came unrouted when you were working with the vehicle. So you're just going to route it to the diagram here. After routing it, you'll reinstall your ratchet, torque over the tensioner to the left, slip your belt on. Then you'll just double check that the belt's on all the pulleys. Now you're ready to reconnect the negative battery cable, so you'll put it on and snug up the 10mm bolt. Then we'll put the cover back on. On the right side of the battery, the wiring harness comes up. It needs to fit in this groove here, like this. And then the cover slides in like this, and then you snap it down here in the front, and then snap it down in the back just by pushing it into place. And then that little wire comes off the side. So if you look under here like this, see how the wire comes around the side, and that attaches to the passenger seat. So that's how it's supposed to look when you're done. And that will complete the job of replacing the alternator on a 2011 through 2017 Jeep Grand Cherokee with the 3.6 liter engine. I will leave a link in the description of the video for the alternator and any of the tools. That way, if you need to pick any of that up, you can find that stuff there. I'm Brian Nessa from How to Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching my videos, encourage you to subscribe, invite you to head over to the howtoautomotive.com website for more valuable videos like this, and I'd like to thank you again for watching.